explain this story in like the most chaotic way possible because like that's how it felt in the moment. So basically, I had a really big exam and I had to go to like this testing center. I get up early, I'm ready to go. I get there, I do the exam. I don't do as well as I wanted to, but I don't pass. So I'm like upset about that. I was like really close to passing, like absurdly close to passing that it makes me upset thinking about it. But I'm like, you know what? I go in the car, I cry and I cry and I cry. And I'm like, okay, Tanisha, you've cried enough. It's time to go home. Go to start the car. The car does not start. And I go, that's funny. Let's just wait it out because it's also a hurricane at this exact moment that I'm ready to go home. And so it's raining. I think the hurricane's name is like Hurricane Helene, whatever. It's hurricaning. And I'm like, okay, no big deal. My dad bought me this really cool girl car pack that's really pink, that's got pink jumper cables. It's great. I'm really excited about it. I'm like, yes, this is what we have prepared for. We have the jumper cables. So now we have to just ask somebody to jump the car. And so I muster up confidence to ask this guy who's sitting in his car, and I'm like, hey, is there any way that you can jump my car? And he's like, yeah, I totally got you, but like, let's wait until the wind dies down so that the batteries don't get wet in the rain, because remember, it's a hurricane. And I go, okay, great. That's a great idea, because I didn't even think about that, because I just didn't think about that. And so I go, okay, great. So we're sitting in our cars. He's sitting in his car. I'm sitting in my car. We're waiting. And the storm starts to die down. And then as soon as like he gets out the car, I get out the car. And his girlfriend comes out of the thing because he was telling me that his girlfriend was taking a test today too. And I was like, oh, great. I hope she does really well. She comes out and she is like, what are y'all doing? And he was like, oh, I'm going to help her jump the car with your car. Like, well, I guess it's her car, but like, I thought it was his car. He was like, I'm going to jump her car with your car. And she was like, no, you're not going to do that. And he was like, what? And she was like, no, and then she's like, no to him, comes to me, and she's like, no, he's not going to be able to help you. And I was like, no, I'm so sorry. I just need a jump. I just want to go home. I just finished my exam maybe 2 hours ago, but like, I just need a jump. And we've been waiting till the storm dies down to jump. And she was just like, no, my boyfriend's not going to be able to help you. And I was like, are you serious? And she's like, yeah, like, we're not going to be able to help you. You need to find somebody else. And I was like, burst into tears in front of this woman's face, which is like so embarrassing. But like, I was just like, are you serious right now? I was like, all right, cool. I asked some other people. They all have electric cars, which who knew electric cars were a big deal in Kentucky, but apparently. So now it's like 1:00. I have not eaten and I have not peed since the exam. Okay, it's 1:30ish. Call my dad, frantic. I'm like, bro, I don't know what to do. He's like, no worries. We'll call the insurance company and they will send somebody out like AAA. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that because I was so panicked. I was hysterical because I had just finished this exam. There was a lot of stress. You know, like when you have a lot of stress built up, like when it dissipates, it kind of like, it feels like a release. Like you're just like defeated afterwards. Not defeated, but like you just don't have the energy to do anything else. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Dad, you're such a genius. He calls the insurance company and they get it all worked out. I'm like, bet, I just have to wait. The timer said it will be 30 to 60 minutes. I'm like, what is some more time that I have to sit in this car? I'm not too mad about it. I'm like, you know what, whatever. 30 minutes goes around. 60 minutes comes around. It's time for my medication. 60 minutes comes around. 90 minutes comes around. Then on the little tracker thing, it just says arriving soon. I was like, no. It doesn't even show his little truck anymore that he's coming towards me. So I call and he's like, yeah, bro, it's like crazy out here. This is how the tow truck guy answered. Yeah, bro, it's like really crazy out here. I'm probably not going to be able to get to you for another 40 minutes. Mind you, it has been 95 minutes when I call these people. I'm like, okay. And he's like, yeah, bro, like, things are getting crazy. Sorry, my light turned off. He's like, things are crazy out here. There's trees down everywhere. I'm getting there, but like, it's going to be another 40 minutes. I'm like, at this point, I have nothing left. I just laugh and I go, okay, bro, hang up with him. Call my dad and I'm like, yeah, it's going to be another 40 minutes. I haven't ate all day because I couldn't eat before the test because I get nauseous when I like have too much anxiety. So I'm just like sitting in the car. I finally was like, all right, well, I'll go into the medical office that's right here and see if there's anybody who can jump the car. I go in there, that thing is closed, bro. Like, it's been closed since 1 o'clock. I didn't know the medical office was only open from 8 to 1 on Fridays. Had no clue. So I'm like, you know what? It's fine. Let's just go pee, and then we'll go back and sit in the car in the hurricane with no fresh air. I can't roll the window down because I don't have enough battery to even do that, or like to blow some air. Like, I just don't have enough battery. So eventually the guy comes and he's like, "Hey, bro, I'm so sorry. It's just crazy out there because it's a hurricane." And I was like, "It's all good, bro. Can you just jump the car?" He's like, "Yeah, but you know what? Let me just check it to see what's going on with it first, to see if you just need to jump or if like the battery's dead." Da da da. I'm like, "All right, whatever. Like, you're the one standing out in this storm. Like, it's all good. Whatever you gotta do to do your job, do it, bro." Because at this point, I have no energy left. At this point, like, I'm a little hysterical. Like, I was hysterical, like crying, but like at this point I was just like laughing because I was like, I have nothing else to give this situation. Like, this is just, it's all funny at this point because it's a joke. Like, it's a joke. It is a freaking joke at this point. I'm like, what else could possibly go wrong? He goes, does some little behind the hood, and he goes, "Hey, have you ever changed the battery in this truck?" And I was like, "I don't know. No, I don't think so." And he's like, has your boyfriend or your husband ever changed the battery? I'm like, "I don't think so, because these are things that I don't know. I don't handle the car things because I am very blessed that my dad just handles it and tells me what to do." And so he goes, "Yeah, I think this is the original battery that came with the truck." And I'm like, "Okay, like, what does that mean?" Like, he's like, "Yeah," he's like, "I'm gonna jump you, but you need to go immediately to AutoZone, immediately to Advanced Auto Parts." I think that's where I went. I'm like, "What? Why?" And he's like, "You need a new battery." And I was like, "How do you know that?" He's like, "I just did the test, remember?" And I'm like, I just like start laughing. I was like, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I mean, you also need some windshield wipers, but like, you really need to get this new battery." He's like, "I'm going to jump you, but like, if you turn this car off, it's not going to start back." And I'm like, okay. He jumps the car. He's letting it like warm up, I guess. I don't know what happens with batteries. I'm not even going to hold you. He's like, "All right, go to Advanced AutoZone." And I'm like, "All right, bro, I hear you. Let me just sit in the car for a second because like I've been in the car all day at this point. It's now 4:50, bro. 4:50. Now, keep in mind, hold this information. I have plans at 5:30. I was supposed to be done with this test at 12. I was done by like 11:45. It's now 4:40. I have not changed. I was in the hurricane weather trying to jump the car with the guy whose girlfriend said he couldn't help anymore. I was out there soaking wet, and then I'm in this car in my wet clothes, and the clothes that I tested in, and I was sweating because I was so nervous. And he's like, "Go to AutoZone." And I'm like, "All right, bro." Call my dad. I'm like, "Hey, he says I need a new battery." My dad's like, "All right, bet. I'm going to send you the battery you need." Da-da-da-da. Hangs up with dad. Go to AutoZone. I get in there, and I'm like, "Yes, I need this kind of battery." And she goes, the lady was like, "How do you know?" And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "How do you know this is the kind of battery you need? Like, do you want me to put it in a system?" And I just like burst out crying. Like, I think it was just the adrenaline from the whole day, but I just like start sobbing in the store. She's like, "It's okay, it's okay." And then there's like these fine, the like most beautiful black men I have ever seen come in. First of all, I'm soaking wet. I am inconsolable, crying now, like sobbing in front of them. And I was just like, this is so embarrassing. Like, these men could have been my husband, but I'm in here crying because like it's just been an awful day. And so she goes out, she figures out the battery, we get the batteries changed, we get the windshield wipers changed. It is now 5:20. Remember, I have plans at 5:30 to be with my friends after the exam, because I was like, I'll take the exam, go home, take a nap, go to Aaliyah's. It's now 5:20. I'm supposed to be at her house at 5:30. And if you know me, you know I do not like being late. Like timeliness, I am not one of those people who is late to things. Like, it is very important for me to be on time. Even if I'm on time sitting in the parking lot and then I go in late, because I know like sometimes you got to be late to some functions, but I will be there on time, but I'll just be in the parking lot. Anyways, it's 5:20. I need gas. The gas light has not come on, but it's real close. It's on the line. And I need to go home and change. And it's 5:20 and I'm at AutoZone or Advanced Auto Parts. I'm like, "Bro, what else?" So I go to the gas station, and of course, it does not take my card. And so I have to go into the cashier, do that whole thing, come back out, pump gas, go home, rinse the hurricane off of me really fast, change, get back in the car, go to Aaliyah's house, and it was wonderful. I'm so glad I went, but like, y'all, what type of day was that? It was a whole day. The great part was when I was at Aaliyah's house, we had amazing Hawaiian food. Oh, I don't know if there's like a significant Hawaiian population here in Lexington, but oh my gosh, it was so good. And like at that point I hadn't ate anything all day, so I'm sure it was like I was a little biased because I was starving and I hadn't drank any water, but it was delicious. It was delicious. It was a fun time. I'm really glad I went. But like, what type of day was that? But at the end of the day, like, I just had no more hysterics because I was just so tired. I was just like, I just ready to go home and get in my bed. And yeah, that's isn't that crazy? That's crazy. Like, if that was a put a finger down story, I would be the only one putting my finger down because like, what the heck was that day? Anyways, that's all I had to say. I just needed to get it out. I needed to tell somebody and get it out of my system so I don't have to tell the story again. Because like it was a day. I feel like if it was only me missing the test by a couple points, that would have been one thing. If it was only this girl being upset with me for quote unquote flirting with her boyfriend by asking him for a jump, which girl I was not. He's not my type. That would have been one thing. If it had just been the car dying and waiting almost 3 hours for the tow truck to come jump me, if it was just that would have been one thing. But it was all of these things smushed together in a day. I couldn't make that up if I wanted to. I could not make up that kind of a day. It was so much stress. But you know, it's been, 24 hours. I survived it. Shout out to my parents. Shout out to my best friends, who I called hysterically crying. Who I feel so bad for. I'm so sorry that you got me at my very worst. I was just like, I just want to go home, and I'm like stuck in this car because it's hurricaning. I can't believe that. Anyways, I hope y'all have a great day. I hope that none of y'all experience a day like that. But if you do, I think the main lesson that I learned is that even the worst of days ends, and like even the most intense negative feelings, like eventually if you stop feeding them like you're feeding a fire, eventually they kind of bottom out and you run out of energy. And that's what happened. I was hysterical and like I was sobbing and like really upset and mad and sad and all the things, and then eventually like there was just no more energy for that, and it bottomed out. And that's sort of how my feelings go. And by the end of it, like I called one of my close guy friends like hysterical, but then like I called him later while I was still stuck in the car, and I was like laughing. I was like, this is so funny. This is the funniest thing that's ever happened to me. He was like, you were just crying an hour ago. And I was like, yeah, I just don't have any more energy to cry. Now it's funny. Now this is hilarious. I just feel like we need to laugh more in life. Anyways, yeah, I'm not even probably gonna post it. But I needed to get it out of my system so that I never have to talk about it again. Okay? Bye, friends. Make good choices. Drink your water. Check your car batteries, apparently. Eat good food, move your body, all of those things. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.